Oh, BBC News, how disappointed I am in you. Look at this video. Just look at it. Over 33,000 dislikes and over 300 likes. Tisk, tisk, tisk. For shame. A lot of people have been blowing up about this nearly 2-minute video of theirs and their stance on cultural appropriation, which I've talked about in the past on my channel, and needless to say, I don't really like it. In fact, I think it's pretty dumb. But like any good professional news network, they take a divisive stance on it. As you can guess, really, the arguments made for it are completely ass backwards and baffling. So let's take a look at this and see why so many people are pissed off about it.
Ever shared this? Or this? Nothing like a good reaction gif, right? But you've probably noticed the most popular ones are of black people being dramatic.
Most popular? Well, I've seen many a gif over the internet, and I can tell you there's a lot more popular ones out there that don't include black people.
This is digital blackface.
Oh, of course it is, because clearly sharing a gif of Kevin Hart being funny and purposefully making an overdramatic face is being racist and somehow being a form of blackface? Well, let's hear the argument for this, shall we?
Blackface is when a non-black person uses makeup to blacken up. Minstrel shows depicted black people in all sorts of negative ways. They were mocking, demeaning stereotypes, and they exaggerated black people's facial features and their expressions.
Oh yeah, and that's the same as this, right? Like, these two things are clearly in the same ballpark. They go hand in hand with one another, right? I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure there's a clear distinction between the two. Like, sharing Kevin Hart making a funny expression in which he made this face on purpose for the sake of being funny, or Michael Jackson eating popcorn in his song Thriller, is vastly different than doing this.
And digital blackface is the 21st century version of that. White people using GIFs to perform some kind of exaggerated blackness.
Well, first off, not just white people go around sharing GIFs. Hate to break it to you, but if this is such a problem, no one should be sharing the GIFs. But second, just white people shouldn't do this, but literally every other ethnicity and race of person can do it. But white people can't, huh? Like, I can guarantee you that there have been black people who have shared these types of GIFs, but I guess they're absolved from doing it. I just find it odd that you have to single white people out, insinuating as if they're the only ones that do this.
And that's not all. Let's talk about white people using dark-skinned emojis.
Okay, then let's talk about black people using white emojis. Let's talk about Asian people using brown emojis. Let's talk about Hispanics using black emojis. Point is, who really cares? They're emojis. They're just emojis. Everyone fucking uses emojis. Like, why are you now trying to have some deviation betwixt GIFs and emojis? Pretty stupid if you ask me, because they're pretty simple and basic things. But now apparently it's
digital blackface.
Oh, please, give me a break.
This is a form of cultural appropriation, paying little respect to someone else's culture and using it however you please.
Ah yes, that good old argument that keeps on a-truckin' as if there's any weight behind it. Well, let me ask you, ma'am, since I see that your hair is pretty straightened and kind of curly at the bottom, did you know that straightening hair went as far back as ancient Egypt? And that the first flat iron was invented by a Frenchman by the name of Marcel Gratteau? And perfected by a Scottish heiress, Lady Jennifer Bell Schofield? Now, of course, I'm just assuming here, but seeing how you don't look or sound Egyptian, French, or Scottish, I guess you can't use that flat iron anymore, because that would be culturally appropriating, wouldn't it? Now, personally for me, I don't know about you, but I could not give a single solitary fuck about your hairstyle. It's your hair, do with it as you please, but my point is that the logic applies to you as well. You're not above it or absolved from it, especially so since you've set this standard. Like, you think the woman that you've shown with that hairstyle did it because she wanted to steal it and mock it and berate others? Or do you think she did it because she thought she would look good, and it does look good on her, she pulls it off well? Like, I am not seeing the fucking issue here. So the problem is that you're offended, and you seem to be upset that we continue to keep integrating these cultures together. Because you, BBC News, are viewing it as separating when we view it as embracing.
So what's wrong with white people posting these GIFs and using these emojis?
Nothing, really, since those are very arbitrary things to make a fuss about, and again, not just white people use. I don't know where you keep getting that idea from.
Well, black people are not here for for other people's entertainment.
Well, that's funny because a lot of the gifs you've shown in the beginning were of people who were there to entertain. They were entertainers. Like, what are you talking about? Do you just forget it's the internet and people will take amusement in almost anything? Like you're trying to put this malicious intent onto others, specifically with white people, and try to strawman them into the bad guy in the scenario just because.
We're not symbols of excessive emotion, and we aren't here to make you look more sassy, more sexy, or more street.
People were not saying you were. I doubt people are thinking that when sharing these. You're saying that and you're perceiving it that way, but no one else is. It'd be like playing an RPG and I want to create a character whose skin color happens to be black. By that logic of BBC News, this would be considered cultural appropriation, right?
We don't want to be seen as having two-dimensional personalities. Let us decide for ourselves how we wish to be perceived. Now, I'm not saying you have to be black to post these gifs.
But you're saying it's just okay to do it if you are? Like, that's what I've just kind of been noticing is the double standard here that apparently you're unaware of, although it's pretty blatant. The hypocrisy is pretty clear here.
But what I am saying is think about what you're doing. Ask yourself why you're always drawn to that GIF or that emoji.
I'm pretty sure they did when they shared it, so maybe you should think before posting such a flawed, racist, generalizing position such as this, and actually make a case for this digital blackface argument. Also, you realize our societies are melting pots of culture, right? Like, that's a very good thing.
So that's my view. But what do you think?
I think that this little video you guys conjured up was a complete joke. I think the people have responded accordingly to this. Let's just take a peek at some comments talking about this, shall we? You said, let us decide for ourselves how we wish to be perceived. This is a fundamental misunderstanding in human communication. You don't get to decide how other people perceive you. You can make changes in your own behavior that may lead to a different perception, but you can't simply dictate another person's perception of you. Also, the fact that you believe emojis are significantly altering people's perception of you really makes me wonder if you're suffering from some degree of paranoia. Emojis are from Japan. You don't look Japanese. That's incredibly insensitive to try and tell us how to use emojis. You need to check your privilege, LOL. Japanese cultural appropriations need to stop. In fact, I think you're the racist one. I see a man laughing, clapping, or making a face. You see a black man laughing, clapping, or making a face. What the heck is wrong with you? People use the emoji because of the expression on the face, not because of the color of the skin. But nice of you to assume that. Who is the real racist here? Oh, that's right. In the SJW world, black people can't be racist. I think you are what is wrong with this world. Why make this crap? Why divide us like this? You think white people using these GIFs and emojis is really in any way akin to blackface? Really? People use it because it fits the situation. There are also a million that are used that have white people and Asian and others. But when they use the black ones, they have to think about it or else they're somehow racist or appropriating. Why make us black folks out to be such sensitive victims all the time? Can you imagine a white person making the same video aimed at non-whites? I definitely cannot. This woman does not speak for the black community. Cultural appropriation? Why do you use everything that white people have created? This is so stupid. No one owns culture. Culture is a mix of all humanity and it's always changing. Creativity comes from the human soul, which has no color. We are all individuals and each individual is unique. We are not just a crowd, so don't label us. And you don't decide how people perceive you because each person has a different perception of you depending on who they are. Such an ignorant video, and BBC is losing its status for posting it. Do you see the dislikes, BBC? Get real. Literally no one thinks like this. You're making racism worse by sharing this stupid video. I mean, most people have spoken out about this video and this mindset and have shown that this delusion of having to keep culture separated like this is ridiculous. Because if other people are going to get upset on the behalf of other people that never fucking asked for it in the first place, maybe it's you that needs to rethink your position and how you view things. Cause some introspection is never a bad thing. We honestly need to stop with this cultural appropriation bullshit, cause this isn't leading you anywhere. Now, a few of these articles I've read talked about digital blackface and showed that a few of these filters that have gone a bit too far. FaceApp with their filters that change your skin color, but God, it's not good. And Snapchat adding a filter making you look like Bob Marley, a very bad looking Bob Marley, is very on the nose and can be understandable for people to get upset about. But You fail to mention them or at least bring them up and instead go for GIFs and emojis? Oh, and using old footage of blackface to try and strengthen your argument, when really it just weakens it even more. Well, BBC News, I hope you've seen what you've done, because all you did was open another pathway down to racism. Gee, way to go, guys. So proud of you. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video here, and real fast, I wanted to give a shout out to a fan of the show who was hit by Hurricane Harvey and, needless to say, lost most of their stuff in the storm. So I'll be linking the page for their youcaring.com fundraiser where you guys can go help donate. Any little bit will help, and I plan on donating myself. Please check that out in the description below. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it, and as always, I'll see all of you in my next video.